Hello and welcome to Building the Premier Accounting Firm. I'm your host, Roger Connect, president of Universal Accounting Center. And for nearly 3 decades now, I've been working with accounting professionals to help them both start and build successful accounting, bookkeeping, and tax businesses. This is a show dedicated to actually helping you learn from the experts, hear those things that you need to be working on to actually offer quality accounting services, take care of your business, offer those services so you can get paid well, and most importantly, have fun doing so. It's in my intentions to actually each week bring to you a variety of things to consider as you run your business, whether it ranges from marketing, selling, pricing, to tech stacks, as well as to AI, mental health, training your staff, just a variety of things. And today we're going to have a wonderful conversation regarding business, but on a tax note. I'm happy to actually invite to the show Michael Uadiale. He happens to be the seasoned CPA and master tax advisor with over 25 years of industry experience, including 18 years of running D.E.C.I.D.E accounting. He actually is the founder of a 7-figure revenue firm with 15 employees. He has developed a proven system that helps entrepreneurs achieve financial freedom within 5 to 7 years through strategic tax planning and wealth building. His expertise has actually helped him and his clients save over $15 million in taxes over the past 7 years, with an average tax saving of $31,000 per client annually. He has also successfully run his business as an entrepreneur who has founded 6 other companies, including investments in innovative telehealth software. So, Michael, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Roger. It's my pleasure to be on your show this day.
This is going to be a wonderful conversation. You know, one of the things that I really enjoy is speaking to a fellow accountant. So let's start with a little bit of your background. Just real quickly, give my audience an understanding of what it is that drew you to accounting. Why become a tax professional?
I think there are 2 things to that question. What drew me to accounting is a very long story. It's a back-end story between me and my dad. He wanted me to be what he considered a noble professional, either a doctor, a medic, an attorney, or something like that. So I think him and I ended up on a compromise on accounting.
The compromise. Now, okay, we settled.
Right. So when it comes to how I've ended up becoming more of a tax advisor, I think that has to do with my own personal experience. When I came out to the United States some 28 years ago as an immigrant, I worked in a high-tech company, made some super big income from stock options and all of that. Even though I had just passed my CPA test, I knew what was coming down the line in terms of taxes, and nobody in the office where I work could tell me what the implication of all of these stock options was going to be. They kept saying, go see a tax advisor. And long and short is I paid some other CPA some big amount of money who was supposed to do some significant planning for me on those stock options where nothing got done. All right. So at the end of the year, tax time came, I was holding a big tax bill. That was a super unfortunate experience. I worked my way through it, but I think that was when something started cooking in my brain. I'm like, it can't be different from this. That's how I eventually ended up starting my own tax practice.
I love it. Now, clearly that experience, that personal experience, is something that's very motivating. I can see why that caused you to go the direction you did, but it's one thing to actually get into the tax profession and become a tax expert. It's another thing to start a tax business. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious, becoming a CPA and so forth, that's interesting, but why start a tax business?
So I still worked in the corporate world for like 10 years before I started Smith CPA, right? I think at the point, naturally, I just got burnt out of being in the corporate world because for me, I was never wired to be somebody that just does the same thing every day, okay? And at the point where I felt it was time to shift, I kept asking myself, what really can keep me going for a long time, okay? I'm the kind of guy that likes to do different things every day. And that was where I figured tax planning per se, especially, it's very different. It's not just like doing the same amount of tax returns every time. So that was really why I really pushed hard and got myself to become niche focused in tax planning and advisory services.
I like that. I like that a lot. So you've mentioned tax planning. I'd like to distinguish between the two, both tax preparation and tax planning. How do you define the difference?
Oh, the difference is really night and day, to be honest. But unfortunately, in our profession, and I hope every other listener out there takes this from today's show, really, it's sad because I think I was reading some research materials about 1 or 2 weeks ago, and I recall from that study that only about 23% of CPA firms actually do tax planning. So that's a tragedy, to be honest, because what that means, if that research is accurate, is over 70% of CPA firms, all they are doing is compliance work and prep work, right? I really don't know if any progressive entrepreneur is interested in a tax preparation work, because that is just medicine after death. That's what the government is requesting us to do. Submit a streamlined kind of form to tell them what amount of taxes the entrepreneur owes. An entrepreneur is not interested in that. He or she is interested in how to ensure that he or she is legally, ethically, and morally paying the least amount of taxes. There is this popular saying by George Leonard Hans that passed a long time ago. He says, look, there is no patriotic duty to overpay your taxes.
That's right.
Yeah. The government has not asked you to do that. And that's the reason why the tax code really, it's a roadmap of incentives. All the roadmap does is it tells you how the government expects you to behave to be able to get the benefits that are embedded in the tax code. Our clients are coming to us as the trusted experts here. If you have a legal issue and you have to be in court and you hire an attorney, your expectation is that that attorney is standing in front of the judge and as an advocate on your behalf. Our clients feel that same way with us. But I feel like, unfortunately, most CPAs don't seem to appreciate that. And all we are doing is just churning out tax return and telling our clients, you owe X amount of money. That's the preparation. The ultra wealthy, they are very intentional. They never take their tax bill on its face value. We almost ensure that we are doing the same thing for our clients, irrespective of their level of wealth. And that's what tax planning and advisory services are all about. Two very different things.
I really appreciate your explanation, because I agree. In our profession, we struggle to actually clearly define the distinction between the two. And so many firms obviously offer tax preparation services. They're filing those in a timely manner, accurately, and so forth. But there's so much to be offered as it relates to planning, that strategic side of the tax equation, where we actually take the time to legally apply the tax code as it is to the benefit of our clients, so that they can legally avoid some of those tax liabilities that could be faced. And all of a sudden, what's happening is we're still, as you defined, still meeting their patriotic duty, but at the same time, not doing it more than necessary. And I think that's a service that is much appreciated. And for those individuals that are wealthy, they are looking for those strategies. They're willing to pay for that advice. Why? Because it can save them tremendous sums of money, simply because we were attentive to their situation. We're able to give them some strategies that they can implement during the course of the year to avoid some of those things. So obviously, we're in the same mindset. So let's talk about a few things that I think you've come up with that are great ways to consider bringing tax planning and strategies to the services that we're offering and helping our clients. So I know that you have a 6-step plan to slash your tax bill. Talk about that for a minute.
Yeah.
What are those 6 steps?
So I came up with that acronym, which is called D.E.C.I.D.E, D-E.C.I.D.E. Okay, so really, that's very high level, but honestly, for any listener, as a fellow professional, at the very minimum, if you start from there, you are going to find that you'll be able to get your client to a happier place when it comes to taxes.
Very good.
The D stands for deduction. I mean, fundamentally, the question that I feel like I've made a living out of is, can I deduct this? And my answer to my clients is, I don't know. Your question to me should be, how can I deduct this? Because those two questions have a very different mindset. I'll give an example. If I want to deduct this sweater, then I have to be willing to translate it from just another clothing to a uniform. And that may mean I am willing to put my company's logo on here, right? And then I can say this is a uniform. That is the how I can deduct this. You don't come up to me and say, can I deduct? So the first D there is deduction. Section 162, and every professional listening knows that is the fundamental things. Business owners never know what they can deduct or what they cannot deduct. Okay. Now, we as the professionals should be the one guiding them on. There are the 4 things that makes what you can deduct. I call it the bond rule. Is it a business expense? Is it ordinary? Is it necessary? Is it documented? That's the first D. The next thing is the entity type. How people structure their businesses is so crucial to tax planning. That your uncle opened an LLC and is filing as a partnership does not mean you go open an LLC and file as a partnership. It may not even mean you have to be an S corp. Because if what you are doing is you building a software company and you are trying to get yourself acquired in the next 7 years, maybe a C corp will be a better thing for you so that you can tap into something like this section 1202. So the E stands for the entity type. Okay.
Nice.
The C stands for credits and conversion. I mean, I love credit way more than deduction, all right? Because credit is a 1-to-1 reduction on your taxes. For me, I see it as the government literally paying the taxes, right? A deduction is you taking off some money off what eventually gets to be taxed. So most times, many of us are CPAs because we become so much of generalists. We have a restaurant client, we have an attorney client, we have a physician, we have all of these. Many of us end up not becoming specialists. So we don't go deep into the area as to really figure out what kind of credits may be available. But credits are a very big part of how you can get your clients to a better place. Okay. The 4th one, the I, stands for income shifting. That's really, for me, it's so basic. I mean, we all have a sphere of family. We have kids, we may have grandkids, we may have aged parents that we are taking care of. There are ways you can legally structure some of your income streams so that it can go to some of these people who are lower tax brackets. Okay, so that's what the I stands for. The 5th one, which is D, deferral. That's my least favorite. Okay, that's pretty much for me when everything else has been done and there's still some money left on the table. Okay, we start looking at how do we punt this ball down the road so that we can play with time value. That's where you find things like qualified plans and all that come into play. And then the last E is elimination. Elimination is a big one. There are all kinds of income streams that you can completely take off the tax table legally. There are some you pay some monies and then it gives you quite a lot of significant tax benefit. Now, for super rich people, that last E is a big part. Unfortunately, we don't have the time to go into that, but that pretty much is our 6-step process.
You know, one of the things I really appreciate about it is not just the 6 steps, but the acronym that you came up with. D.E.C.I.D.E is a very good acronym, and I love how you were able to easily go through each of those steps and identify not just what it's addressing, but it gave an example of what it's actually trying to resolve. I think that was phenomenal. Get your free copy of the book In the Black, 9 Principles to Make Your Business Profitable. This is a how-to guide for accounting professionals to work with their clients and actually implement proven processes and systems to ensure that their clients make profit a priority. It is in this book you'll actually learn how to map the business and, in fact, make marketing, accounting, and production a priority within your client's business. You also learn the wisdom pyramid, how to actually take the information you're providing to your clients and effectively use it so that they can make more informed business decisions. This book is designed to help you communicate more effectively with your clients and, in fact, have them see you as their profit and growth expert. Get your free copy now of the ebook today, In the Black, 9 Principles to Make Your Business Profitable. So one of the things that I also want to address here is there's always this goal. Everybody wants to pay 0 in taxes. There's this intent of saying, you know, what can I do, especially from a business point of view, to make it so that I am really a net even company. I'm just breaking even and I don't owe taxes. I mean, it's a questionable strategy. Obviously, it shows the company is more or less worthless because it's not making money, but it is a tax strategy. So what is it that you can actually suggest as it relates to that question of, can I pay $0 legally?
So the answer to that is yes. And that's a very common thing, especially for what you may call 7-digit business owners, right?
Yeah.
But to be very clear and honest, one of the ways you can get to 0 taxes then that entrepreneur will be willing to be a continuous investor. And I'm going to use an example. If, for example, you are not interested in paying taxes, are you willing to continue to do investment, for example, in real estate, and as such, and have one of you as a taxpayer be a real estate professional where you do cost segregation on your investment, rental activities, and then generate bonus depreciation from that, and be able to use all of that bonus depreciation to write off on your other income streams. So sometimes when people say I'm paying a lot of taxes and I'm looking at the entire profile, I'm like, well, you've kind of flattened yourself out. If you are not constantly doing what the government is wanting you to do, you cannot get the tax benefits that the government is willing to give to you. So a very simple answer is constantly investing can truly get you to that place where you are as close to zero as possible. Okay? That's a simple one. Now, more complexly, you are going to find that there isn't anything really like zero. Nothing is free. We never have a free lunch, right? And that's why when you look at our D.E.C.I.D.E structure, the last E there where I talk of elimination, there are strategies really that you can use to bring yourself to a zero tax. But there's going to be a cost to those strategies. There is going to be a cost to you paying to some service providers and stuff like that. And be sure that, okay, that is not a tax shelter, because I hate tax shelters. I hate people going into things that could just put them in trouble because they're trying to reduce taxes. But the answer is yes, there are things that you can do, but it's not a one size fits all. We generally in our firm look at a taxpayer and say, okay, what would be a good fit for them in terms of their profile, in terms of the amount of money they have, and all that kind of stuff.
You know, I appreciate you sharing all that, because I know each of us, as it relates to taxes, always has that individual that walks in saying they want to pay nothing in taxes. I don't want to pay anything. And so for you to be able to explain and articulate, as you just did, that there is a possibility of being able to do this, but there is some cost to it and so forth. So I appreciate that explanation. Let's talk now about 7 strategies that oftentimes we as accounting professionals fail to tell our clients as to how they can cut their tax bill in half.
Yeah, so I call most of those strategies workhorse strategies. Workhorse from the point of view is that those are very fundamental things that every business owner is able to do, should be doing, and their tax professionals should guide them to ensure that they are audit proof and well documented. Home office, Augusta strategy, hiring your kids, really maximizing use of your auto, ensuring that your health insurance or medical plan is tax efficient, right? And then leveraging things like educational plan, having some accountable plan. Those are some things that are commonly missed. We have a library of video lessons. In one of those lessons, I have a topic there which I titled How to Make Your Travels 100% Deductible. Okay? Now, people will come and say, well, that's not possible. My answer to you, it is possible if you are willing to do the work. Okay? I mean, unfortunately, one of the things I've seen with our profession, we impute into the tax laws interpretations that the code did not put there. How can you make your travels 100% deductible? You got to understand the 5 types of days when it comes to the tax law. When I say 5 types of days, I'm not talking Monday to Sunday. I'm talking of travel day. I'm talking of work day. I'm talking of the sandwich day. I'm talking of Saturday. I'm talking of try to work days. Those are the 5 days when you're looking at how to make your travels deductible. Because for anything to be deductible on any one day, the government must be satisfied that you've put in at least 4 hours, 1 minute into that day. So what is a try to work day? If I fly out to Boston, for example, today, because I was hoping to have a meeting with somebody there and he or she didn't show up, that's a try to work day. Okay? That gives me the ability to encapsulate that day as a deductible day for my business expenses. So my point is, there are just so many fundamental things like that, right? Now, I may go on a vacation and I don't want to have the headache of doing all the documentation and all that stuff, then fine. But if I'm genuinely interested in maximizing my taxes and I'm having a trip to Hawaii, you can be sure I am going to make sure I have meetings with clients in Hawaii. Okay? Because when you go break down what is deductible and all of that, there's what is called the principle or primary reason. So those are the things that our clients want us to give them the options to make the decision. What's happening to our profession? We are making interpretations and assumptions on behalf of our clients, and they are getting pissed at us, right? Because then they go on YouTube, they go on Instagram, they go on wherever, and they see videos and all kinds of things being put out there by people who are not experts like us. And then they come back to us angry and say, but why didn't you ever tell me about this?
One of the things that I think is very important to point out here is the word planning. As it relates to travel and so forth, it's not in the hindsight that we actually try to figure out whether or not we can justifiably explain anything. It's a matter of planning ahead of time what we're going to do in the travels that we have so that we can justify maybe seeing a client, visiting with a client, a potential client, and it's strategically making that travel so that it actually incorporates some of the work activities so that we can justifiably explain what's going on. And I love work and I don't mind associating work with play. And so to do the two together is great. I've got a group of friends that I associate with, all of which are business owners, and each of which, because of what they love to do and what we actually do together, they're able to write off quite a bit of the things that we do because we do take advantage of that travel to do work activities. And so all of a sudden, it's that commingling of those things so that it's planned intentionally beforehand so that we can intelligently write it off, not in hindsight, try to justify and explain and see what we can do to make it work tax-wise. It's the planning that makes it effective. So I think that's important to point out.
Learn the turnkey process for starting and building a successful accounting business. It's in this course so you'll actually experience 4 specific trainings. Part 1, your business plan, everything you need to know to get started. Part 2, how to price your services, the pros and cons of different methods and the best way to price your services that are both profitable and professional. Marketing and selling your services so that you can actually be top of mind, but more importantly, how to actually be seen as a trusted strategic advisor. And last of all, mapping it all out. 5 principles in running a profitable business so that you can be both competent and confident in the services you're providing. Learn now what it is you can be doing to start and build your own successful accounting, bookkeeping, or tax business. Go to the episode description and there get the information you need to take advantage of this today.
Let's talk about another thing here that I think is quite fun. It's something that really resonated with me. It's work less, keep more, tax strategies for lifestyle entrepreneurs. What advice do you have for those entrepreneurs that aren't really driven by, let's say, the money, but it's more the lifestyle that they're trying to acquire?
So I think I think you begin to go into what we call wealth and tax strategy. So the way we do what we do in our firm is we try to get an understanding first from a client as to where are you trying to get to, okay? Meaning, what's your happy place? What are you defining as your financial freedom point, okay? And then how are you making your money? Once you give us those 2 data points as to, okay, this is my end goal. My end goal is to be able to try to make like 2 or 3 or 400,000 a year without me putting 8 to 5 work hours in. And this is how I make my money. The next thing is to try to then wrap around how the client makes his money, a very efficient tax strategy. Because what you will find happening to most entrepreneurs is because they do not have the tax planning that is so much needed, they are going into anywhere from 13 years to 18 years of tax jail. And what do I mean by that? When you do not have tax planning in your game plan, I guarantee that business owner, he or she is spending 2 hours, 42 minutes every day of his 8-hour workday paying the tax guy. I mean, think about it. The kind of people I work with, Okay, they have 37% marginal tax rate on the federal side. If that client is living in California for another 9 point something, he or she is giving 47 cents on the dollar to the tax guy. So if you are spending 47% of your 8-hour workday every day just giving tips to the IRS and state agencies, you just put yourself into a jailhouse of 18 years financially.
Yes.
Okay. If you can truly work with a good tax advisor, which that is why they come to us. I think many of us are so scared of charging the right fees of what we are worth. And I think we project our fear of money as accountants onto our clients. We think they will not be willing to pay for the value. I think what is going on is we are not explaining what we are delivering. So when clients are trying to evaluate whether to work with us or not, they're looking at it from, this guy is only charging me $1,500 for a tax return. I am not providing you just a tax return. I'm providing you a roadmap to what you just said: work less, keep more, and get to my place of generational wealth. That's a very different framework. If we learn to frame things well, clients who appreciate it, they will see it, and they will see it within the first 90 days of working with us, and they will be willing to pay for that. So taxes is a big drag on most entrepreneurs' financial freedom goal. Our job is to take that drag away so they can run faster and get to where they want to get to.
Wonderfully said. I think that's beautiful. In fact, you're actually doing a great job in transitioning, as I hope to do, to now. We've been talking about these various strategies so that my listeners can understand that there are strategic things that we can be doing with our clients. But now I want to ask the question, when you're out marketing these services and you're trying to acquire clients and help them understand what it is you do, what is it that you feel draws individuals to you from a marketing point of view? And then the second question is going to be about your services that you offer. How do you describe them? How do they pay for them? What's your pricing? So let's first of all start with your messaging. From a marketing point of view, how do you help people get drawn to you rather than any other tax preparer or perhaps planning strategist?
And I'll speak to this. I mean, anybody can go check the ads that I'm running on Facebook. I am speaking to entrepreneurs. And seriously, I make a clear distinction between who an entrepreneur is and who a business owner is. I know it's, for some people, they will say it's just a matter of words. No, a business owner could be successful financially in terms of making profit, but he or she is not truly enterprising. He or she may just be doing what they're doing on a daily basis. An entrepreneur is somebody who is truly very clear-eyed as to, I'm trying to get to a endpoint, and is willing to be open-minded to look at how to get there in a legal and ethical way. I met with a prospect yesterday. His company is grossing about 65 million. He's working with a top 100 accounting firm. All right. And why was he pissed? He was pissed because for 2024, he got a bill of an additional 150,000 that he did not expect. Okay. So when it comes to my messaging, I am messaging to prospective clients based on the pain that I hear commonly from every prospect that is coming to me. Many times when clients are changing who their accountants are, they are not changing because of lack of technical knowledge on the part of their former provider. They're changing because most times they feel like my accountant is not responsive. They feel like I'm the one bringing suggestions to my accountants. They feel like we don't do any planning. Seriously, those three things alone, if you can nail it as a professional in this business, you will be the one turning away clients because you will constantly be saying, okay, this is not a good fit. In our firm, for example, it's zero tolerance. If within 48 hours you have not responded to a client's inquiry, whether it be an email, a text, or whatever, that's a zero tolerance for us. Because the client sends you an email, there's no response, he or she doesn't even know whether or not you've seen his or her email. And that is very common in our profession. I think we need to change that. So those are the three things I message on.
I appreciate you pointing that out, especially the responsiveness. That's a common thing that comes up. And as well, the planning side of things. People want to know that what you're offering them isn't just that commoditized bookkeeping, tax preparation type service. It's that planning, that perspective that you're bringing to the equation. So I like that. Now, as it relates to your packaging or your pricing, what is it that your firm actually does to now say, here's what tax planning and preparation is going to look like as it relates to what our services are and what the fee will be? How do you explain that and price it?
So I'll give this for free to whoever wants to reach out to me. So we have very clear menu of services. Okay, we have two broad packages. One is what we call the tax advisory service. That service has three options. We have the diamond, the platinum, and the gold option.
Very nice.
And then we have what we also call the outsourced CFO service. Again, three options for our clients to choose from: diamond, gold, and platinum. Each of those menu of services have very specific line items as to what they are. And there's a description on them. So when somebody is trying to become our clients, right, we really clearly explain to them what each of those things mean. We do make recommendations to them as to what we think will be a best fit for them, okay? Because again, when we are taking clients in, we do request their most previous tax return, see what they've gotten and where they've been, and then we ask ourselves the question as to, can we bring this client to a better place? Now, our services are fixed fee. It doesn't matter to us, except in some very rare instance where we're looking at something and we're like, okay, this is completely out of scope, and we're going to have that discussion. So we have those two broad menu of services: the advisory service, which is a wealth and tax strategy service, and an outsourced CFO service, okay? Now, we explain every of those. The clients make a choice from whatever it is that they want to do. And so they understand that. And again, you want to keep your integrity, because don't promise people things that you don't end up doing. There is no client of our firm that's not going to have at least 6 meetings in a year with whoever their client relationship manager is, because planning is not a fire hose activity in December.
Yes.
It's something that you got to do all through the year.
Yes.
Okay? And so that meeting must happen. And we track those things very religiously in our practice.
So give me an idea of an average fee for this tax planning service. I mean, clearly you indicated that there are these 6 distinct packages. Just give me an idea of what those costs look like for my audience.
Right. So I'll tell you, on the tax advisory side, our minimum fee there, which is our fixed fee, is $18,000 for the list service, which is the gold package. Now, the middle package, which is I think that is the platinum service, that goes for $42,000 a year. And the highest level, I think that's going for $60,000. So you see what I'm talking about. Now, I'll
Yes.
tell you this clearly. I tell our prospects, and our clients know that our services are free. And what do I mean by that? What I mean by our services are free is the fact that if we cannot get you to a point where you are able to get at least 2 to 3 times reduction in your taxes, net of our fees, we don't want you as a client. So again, this is where I keep saying, we as professionals, we cannot be projecting our fear of funds or money on our clients, because you said it, and that's true. Clients are seeking value. They are not looking for a well-prepared tax return. Yes, the tax return at the end of the year is the validation of what we've done all through the 12 months. And I tell our clients that we are perfectly fine. Every 2 or 3 years, they should take our work by way of the tax return and provide it to any other person so that they have a second opinion. I tell our clients that because every January, I do a webinar for our clients just to get them ready for the tax season. Believe me, I say that.
So you indicated that they're assigned a tax advisor, and you also indicated that there's as many as 6 meetings. I like the fact that you're assigning someone specific to their profile, simply because of the fact they're going to become very familiar with them as an individual and their businesses and their investments and so forth. But those 6 meetings, I'm just curious, can you give us an idea of what one of those meetings might look like?
Oh, yeah, I can list some of the key deliverables that must happen within those 6 to 8 meetings.
Yes.
The first one is you got to do the client's financial health assessments. Because once a client comes in, the first thing we really, really want to know is what the heck do you have as assets and who do you owe as liabilities? We net off your liabilities from your asset. That tells us what your net worth is. And then we try to understand from you, how many years are you wanting to be in the grinds? Between today, whatever it is in 2025 to if it's 5 years or 10 years from now, okay, we get that. All right. How are you making money? At the rate at which you're making money, are you going to be able to get to that happy place in that 5, 7, or 10 years? That's the first thing we do. So that's the financial health assessment. And we move on to the first tax plan. 99% of the time, the client never even knows what a tax plan is. They never had one. The tax plan itself is going to take 2 meetings because the CRM has to get all their data, walk through with the client on, okay, this is all what we've gotten from you. And then we now do a tax plan. Our tax plan is, haven't understood where this person is trying to go, what they have. We now give them a roadmap of, here are our suggestions of things you need to do differently. And that is delivered. So that's going to take 2 meetings. So you got 3 meetings there, right? And then on the basis of the tax plan, it is the client's responsibility now to begin to implement with our guidance whatever he or she has agreed on. Because we're giving recommendations. It's the client's job to say, I like this. No, I don't think I'm cool with this. Or no, I don't want to do this. It's too complex, right? Or whatever he or she chooses, the implementation starts, okay? And so there's an implementation specialist that is working behind the scene with the client relationship manager to ensure that the client is doing what he or she needs to do. Because the issue should not be, oh, I'm gambling with my taxes. We don't want somebody being audited. That's when they're trying to produce documents after the fact. That's really ugly. I don't touch that, okay? So an implementation specialist is helping the client. So I'll give a short example. Everybody talks about the Augusta strategy. Great. All right. There's the Augusta strategy, but is the client holding the meetings? Have you as the CPA helped the client come up with what is a good, fair rental value for his use of his home? Do you put in place a fair rental value memo that can stand an IRS audit? Okay. So you have to do all of that and educate the client on why doing all of these things are important. Now, in our tax prep process, you are going to have at least 2 meetings. When I say 6 meetings, that's the minimum on just your tax returns. Because before we start your tax return, you're going to do a kickoff call with your CRM. The CRM is going to show you all of the documents we have and everything, and if there are changes before the tax return is done. When that tax return is done, you're going to do a wrap-up call, okay? A wrap-up call. So I have a client, he was like blown away when he was called to a wrap-up call. Here is a very successful Amazon DSP. He said, all I get is my accountant just sent me these E5 forms to sign. And I never know what I'm signing, but I'm just like, I feel like I'm having a gun over my head to sign so they can transmit the return. We don't want to do that. We want the client to understand, here's what we've done. These are your numbers, and these are why the numbers are ending up like this. And then we show them what the actual tax return has become compared to the last tax projection we did for the year. And we identify if there are significant differences and be able to explain why the income that is taxable is now 500 versus the projection we did if it was, say, 350. Within a margin of 3 to 4%, we want to be able to explain that. So those are the kind of things we do with clients.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is wonderful because that's exactly what I was hoping to hear is what is it that they're experiencing? What is it that they're paying for and getting? So thank you for that.
Get your copy of Red to Black. It is the book written for accounting professionals to help businesses turn around and go from being in the red to being in the black. This book is written for consultants, business owners, operators, and managers, no matter what your client's product or service, or irrespective of your talent, skill, or expertise. As an accounting professional, you'll be able to use the principles presented in this book to actually become, for your clients, the profit and growth expert. Every chapter is filled with principles and concepts that you can use immediately with your clients to lead them from being in the red to being more profitable in their business, and see you as, in fact, their guide, their coach, with the expertise and wisdom that you can bring from this book. In the book, you have how-to guide explanations, you have models that you can follow, you're shown how to actually calculate and determine the fees for your services, the actual model that you'll use during the implementation of all this, and most importantly, the end-all results with your clients. Get this book now and see what it is you can do to offer this new revenue-producing service as, in fact, the profit and growth expert. For more information on how you can take advantage of this offer, go to the episode description and there get the information you need to take advantage of this today.
Michael, I have one more question regarding you. 28 years ago, obviously, you came to this country. 28 years ago, you started your profession in the investment world. You became a tax strategist. You became a tax expert. Here you are, a CPA running a successful tax advisory firm. What are you grateful for?
Ooh, that's a deep question, Roger. I am naturally a very grateful person. And I can say this with some emotion. I'm grateful for the opportunity to be able to come into a world that allows me to be all that I can be. Okay. And I walk with that spirit of gratitude to be able to give back every time. Okay. So I'm grateful for that. Okay. I'm really grateful. My wife and I, we have a private foundation, and we channel our gratitude through that foundation. We just did a holiday thing in our original home country. Every back to school, we do what is called a back to school supply, and we do give through those channels.
I love that you're giving back. I love that you're actually able to be in a position where you're not just living in a mindset of gratitude, but you're giving back. That's beautiful.
So you could make me cry. I will stop there, but
no, you're good. I appreciate that. That's something that I hope my listeners can appreciate, is we all need to find that place where we can be in a gratitude mindset and find opportunities to give back. This is beautiful. So thank you for that. Michael, what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap this up. And as I do so, I'm going to come back to you for a closing thought. But as I do this, I do want to point out to my listeners that Michael does have something here for you that you can find in the episode description. This happens to be something that you may want to take advantage of, which is a Financial Freedom Academy, where he guides you through expert wealth and tax strategies to enhance your financial health regardless of experience. And so you can go there to the episode description and find information regarding that. And I invite you to do so. In addition, I also want to invite you to participate in what's called the Accountrepreneurs Challenge. This is a challenge that we're doing as part of our Give Back program to actually help you both personally and professionally work on your business. This is a way to actually address those things that enable you to become the better you, and also your business, to ensure you're offering quality accounting services and taking care of your clients. So I invite you to take part in this 90-day challenge, where on a weekly basis, you're given an activity, a very simple thing that may take as little as 5, 10, 15 minutes, or maybe an hour each week, so that you can actually work on a variety of things related to you and your business for 90 days, so that you can actually make this the best year yet as it relates to you personally and your business. So go to the episode description and take advantage of the Accountrepreneurs Challenge. And that's something I'd like to have you do today. Now, as it relates to the summary of today's conversation, I really enjoyed it. Just to hear the transition that Michael had as he found a tax situation that he personally experienced that was so challenging that it caused him to realize that this shouldn't have to be this way. And he actually found himself now moving into taxes, as it were. He became a CPA, started his tax business, and obviously focused on not just doing tax preparation, but obviously focused on the things that related to tax planning. He shared with us the acronym of D.E.C.I.D.E. It's basically those various things that we can focus on, a 6-step process to really help our clients minimize their tax liability. We talked about about the idea of now that you have these things, what can you do from a strategy point of view to minimize your tax liability? And as an accounting profession, helping individuals identify what they can actually implement in their business or in their lives to ensure that they're actually paying as little as they can. He shared with us a few things regarding his service and how he leans forward into 3 things that enable him to distinguish his services from his competition so that he can actually show that he is responsive and that he does have plans that his firm actually focuses on for their clients. I love that he was able to show that he actually uses menu pricing to communicate clearly what his packages are that his clients can consider using and what those costs might be as to helping them minimize legally their tax liabilities. I really appreciated the fact that he was able to distinguish then from a marketing, a pricing, and a packaging point of view, how his clients are benefiting through these 6 or more strategy sessions that they're actually doing. And he was very kind to share with us what those conversations would look like with each of his clients. These were all wonderful takeaways as it relates to our situation as to whether or not we're already or considering offering tax planning and strategy services. Now, as for his gratitude, I appreciate his heartfelt expression of what he and his wife have been able to do to recognize the blessings that he has in his life and how he's now in a position where he can give back. And I'm very grateful that he's chosen to do so because what we can do becomes our legacy and more importantly, affects those around us. So Michael, thank you for that. What would you have as a closing thought, sir?
My closing thought is our profession has so much bright days ahead of us. There continue to be less and less people who can bring good quality service to the business owners that are out there. So we all should stop competing on the basis of pricing. And I want to really ask that as fellow professionals, let's learn to be more collaborative. One of the things I've seen in our profession, we tend to think that if we give away what we know or what has made us to be successful, it's like somebody's going to steal your client. There are more business owners out there than the service providers by way of CPAs and accountants. Okay, so let's be more collaborative. Dentists are very collaborative. Physicians are very collaborative. Many professionals, they collaborate among themselves to bring better value. Let's be very collaborative. And so I was excited to come on this show today, understanding and knowing that the audience are my fellow professionals.
You know, Michael, I appreciate that. The abundance mindset is such a key mindset and principle. It makes for a happier life. And more importantly, that collaborative interaction that you were explaining there. There are so many individuals as accounting professionals that choose to specialize in, say, bookkeeping and collaborate with a tax professional. They collaborate with an accounting professional, CFO, an advisory firm, all these things to better service their clients and give them the things that they're needing to be successful as well. So I like that collaborative nature that you're bringing to the discussion here. So thank you for that. Now, as I wrap up the show, one of the things I want to do is clearly for my listeners, if you haven't already subscribed, please do so. Subscribe to the podcast. We'd love to have you as a listener each and every week as we release new episodes. These are episodes that we have where I bring on the experts to share with us insights as to what it is we can be doing to have the premier accounting firm in your area. So doing so, definitely subscribe, set those notifications, and listen each week as I bring on the experts. In addition to that, I want to invite you to go to universalaccounting.com. There on the website, we actually have a podcast section where we've actually collected the highlights, playlists that we've compiled of these various things that are typically things that you're facing that you can binge listen. These are topics of various individuals on principles of marketing, selling, pricing, tech stacks, mental health, just a variety of things that you can do to onboard your clients, retain your clients. These playlists are a collection of the experts that I've compiled of over more than 300 episodes where you can dive into those things that are relative to your current situation and hear exactly what it is you need to be working on as it relates to your business. So I invite you to go to universalaccounting.com, go to the episode or the navigation portion where it's podcast, and there find the highlight section where the playlist can be found. In addition to that, I want to invite you to GrowCon. GrowCon happens to be an annual conference where we get together as accounting professionals, owners of bookkeeping, accounting, and tax businesses. We get to hear from the experts, those things that we need to be doing to work on our business. Those individuals come to us from the stage, but more importantly, we have us as peers, just as Michael was indicating, where we're able to come together, collaborate, support one another, and make new friendships. And in doing so, really get the support we need of individuals that are doing just like ourselves, be inspired by those who have gone before us. This is exactly what you need to experience at GrowCon. And then in addition to that, you get to meet my staff, those individuals who are committed to helping you be in business for yourself, but not by yourself, with Universal Accounting. So get your ticket today. Join us for GrowCon. You can go to universalaccounting.com, and there in the navigation, find information regarding the event and get your ticket there. So I look forward to seeing you this next time. In addition, I want to invite you to actually check out the episode description for information about becoming a professional tax preparer. This is a training and designation designed for you and your staff to help you to offer quality accounting services, both in individual and business preparation, as well as offering advisory services. If you'd like to actually explore becoming a professional tax preparer, proficient in both the practical application of tax preparation and planning in individual and business tax filings, this is exactly the training you need. Check out becoming that of a professional tax preparer. For more information about that, you can go to universalaccountingschool.com and find information regarding the various trainings and programs that Universal has to offer to assist you in becoming skilled in offering quality accounting services as the premier accounting firm in your area. Now, with all that being said, if you'd like more information or would like to discuss this, feel free to give us a phone call. You can give us a call at 801-265-3777. And always remember this, accounting success is universal. Take care. Have a great day and be safe out there.